Hello again, I'm back. I hope to goodness this works this time. Thank you for your patience. I hope you're still here. And I hope you can hear me now. So I'll just wait for a few of you to say hello if you're there. And we'll get this show on the road finally. These things do happen, don't they? They sent to testers. But that was weird about the chair. Yeah, very odd. Hello, is anybody there? Or are we having gremlins still? Hi, Catherine. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you can hear me now. Hello, Diane. Hi, Emma. Can you hear me now? It seems we've got a spook somewhere. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, that's a relief. Well, that was very odd, wasn't it? The chair, that was weird. Yeah, we haven't figured that one out. Hi, Lynn. So let's try this again, shall we? It's like take three, isn't it? Third time lucky. Hi, Gail. Oh, thanks. Thanks very much, Creative Expressions. Supportive as ever. They are lovely. You know, they do look after me. I need it as well. So, yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you for staying with us. I know it can be frustrating, these things, but hopefully we're there now. So, without further ado, let's get going. I'm going to show you Rodney and his family. I know you've seen these. You've probably seen Jamie showing them, and of course he was on Hobby Maker. But it's always nice to get a different person's take on it, isn't it? Thank you all so much. It's great to know that you can hear me now. I'm not sure that's a good thing, but you know, it does help. Yeah, Gremlins. I don't know if it's Facebook or what it is, this technology business. I don't know, and I'm not good with it. So with Jamie and I together, it's a bit like the blind leading the blind. But anyway, we got there. So that's what matters. Yeah, so as I was saying, it's nice to get different people's takes on certain things. Each of us, when we look at a stamp or a die, we straight away get different ideas. So it's nice to bring those to the vision, you know, and show you what we're all up to. So as I was trying to say earlier, tonight is going to be more of a technique night. So let's call it Technique Thursday. I won't be making cards from start to finish all the way through, but I will hopefully bring you some really interesting tips and techniques that you can take away. Oh, Diane, that's just me, Yorkshire, that is. She said they've had subtitles. Probably need them. Yeah, so let's have a look at this family because they're absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to turn the camera down and hope nothing goes wrong with this one now. Hi, Samantha. Thanks for joining us. Okay, let's have a look. There we are. So this is Rodney Snow. And I've decided to call him Snow. But I am most upset that there isn't a Jon Snow. If you don't get the Game of Thrones reference, don't worry about it. Anyway, this is Rodney, and he was our original snowman. The original is still available. You can still get it, of course. And he's just had a bit of a refresh for a new season. So here he is with his snowballs. He's all ready to go with his son. And these are fabulous die and stamp sets. Now what you're looking at here is a DL stamp set, and I've just realised that that's back to front. Let me just see if I can flip that. Oh, here we go again. There we are. That's better, isn't it? Cool. So we have the DL stamp set, and this has Rodney. It's got a lovely filigree snowflake. We've got snowball pile, a splatty snowball, and a snowball in flight, which I think is absolutely brilliant and so original. I've never seen that before. And then we've got some lovely sentiments. Have a ball this Christmas. Have a cool Yule. Snowball fight and winter wishes. And I'm sure you've seen the amazing samples from the DT that Jamie was showing on his Monday night. Oh, it was Tuesday night, wasn't it? And then last Thursday when I wasn't here. So you've had hopefully lots and lots of inspiration. If you haven't, if this is your first sight of this collection, well, welcome. This is a Jamie Rogers Crafts collection, of course. So we have the stamp set there, and then we've also got the complimentary die set. Now mine are on sample cards, so please excuse that there isn't any packaging, but there are 4 dies here, and these are the 4 elements that these will cut out for you. And what I'm finding with the dies that Jamie's having made to go with his stamps is that they're really easy to line up and cut out successfully, because they're not all, some of them can be, you know, a bit hit and miss. So I'm finding these really lovely to work with and really, really nice to cut. And I have to say a big thank you to my lovely friend Irene, who while I was on holiday was doing some stamping and cutting for me. So if you're watching, Irene, although she might not be because she's not been very well, thank you so much. It was a huge help. I'm a bit of a busy bee at the moment, so time gets away from us so easily, doesn't it? Right, so that's Rodney with stamps and dies, and those come as a complete set, and they are $19.99. Now the DL stamps on their own I think are about, are they $9.99? I think they might be. So really good value for money and very, very usable. And actually when I looked at this I thought that could be a meteor. So if you've anybody that likes rockets and spaceships and things like that, that could be a meteor. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? And that could be something out of space as well. Anyway, we digress. So that's our lovely Rodney. And now Rodney has got a lovely lady wife or partner. Doesn't have to be his wife, does it? And this is Rebecca. Oh, sorry, I'm doing it again, wrong prices. $11.99 a stamp set would normally be, a DL stamp set. So I think $19.99 for the whole collection with the dies as well is really, really good. Hi Joanna, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for sending good wishes to Irene as well, that's lovely of you. Okay, so with this set you're going to get Rebecca, and isn't she a darling? She's got a lovely face. She's bringing a lovely gift, and she's got her best hat and scarf on. She's bringing a pile of presents and a single present, and again a beautiful snowflake. You'll find there are individual snowflakes on these sets, and obviously you can use those all together to create beautiful backgrounds, borders, whatever it is you like to do. So the dies for this collection feature all of these items. So you have 5 dies in this set. So we have a lovely little tag, and this will fit some of the sentiments that come on the stamps. So we've got with love, we've got from me to you this Christmas, and we've got sending winter wishes, which is a bit long for the actual tag, but the others will fit. So that's a lovely addition. Then you've got the die for the single parcel, the pile of parcels, the snowflake, and Rebecca herself. And again, this set is going to be $19.99, and this one is Rebecca's gift of Christmas, which I think is absolutely beautiful. And that's what Christmas is all about, isn't it? The gift of giving. And it doesn't have to be physical giving, does it? It's giving of our time and our love to our family and things like that. That's what it is to me anyway. All right, then we have our lovely offspring. So we've got here Riley. Isn't he darling? He's just the cutest little snow person. And again, we've got a fabulous DL stamp set featuring his little friend Ted. We've got the North Pole sign, another beautiful snowflake, and this time a snowflake flurry. We have another parcel, so obviously that could be used in combination. We've got special delivery, and we've got It's a Winter Wonderland. Hi Kim. That's a great idea. It could be that as well, couldn't it? Yeah. Okay, so that's your DL stamp set and your dies to go with that. I've got Riley here. I'm going to be doing something with that later on. I'll come back and explain why that one's looking a little strange. And then we have the North Pole sign, Ted on his sled, the snowflake, and the parcel that you can cut out independently. So again, a beautiful set. I think some of these are going to lend themselves to things like baby's first Christmas, that sort of thing, you know, young children. But we're all big kids at heart, aren't we? I absolutely love these, and I would certainly love to receive something with that on. And some of the samples that I've seen that the DT have done are delightful, and I would love to receive any of them. They're absolutely fantastic. Okay, so let's have a little look at Rosie. Rosie's the little girl of the family. She's obviously a bit of a ski expert, and I absolutely love this birdhouse. It does have what appears to be snow on its roof, but that could equally be mossy grass, so you could use this all year round. It doesn't have to be a snowy one, does it? Then we have a gorgeous little bird, which again could be anything. It could be a bluebird, it could be a robin, it could be anything. So those three come with matching dies. This is your stamp collection, and here we've got having so much fun, and we have a beautiful snow dotty background, which again could be anything. It doesn't have to be snow, it could be confetti, it could be rain, it could just be texture. It's really beautiful. So that's your stamp set, and then the dies for this set, you're going to get Rosie, the birdhouse, and the little tiny bird. So 3 dies in this set, and again the whole set, the stamps and the dies, come as one collection, and they're going to be $19.99. So that's the family, and I think you'll agree they're absolutely wonderful. Isn't it unusual as well to have different snow people? You know, everybody's done snowmen. There's thousands of designs of snowmen and snow ladies and, you know, generic snow people. But to have children and to have the concept of the family of the snowman, I think is very original, really unique. And I think when you look at the samples that the DT have made, you'll see why these all work so well together, and they also work really well with previous collections. Obviously the Christmas collection, the last Christmas collection that came out in July, that's still around, and that works really well with these as well. So in that one you had Father and Mrs. Christmas, you had the Naughty Elves, of course, who've been playing with us tonight. I think they were a bit cross they weren't getting in on the act. So all of that collection will complement this one equally. So if you've already got that one and you want to add to it, these are going to work really well. So I think that's what's brilliant, and we've said this time and time again that when Jamie designs a collection, he really thinks it through, and he makes sure that it's going to work with things you may have already bought, so that they're not wasted and stuck in a cupboard because you've used them and you've no further use for them. That's not going to be the case, I hope, and well, I know, with Jamie. So it's really fantastic. So then alongside the lovely family, we've also got some other dies which are perhaps a little more elegant but will still work really well with our snow people. I love this one. This is a Christmas scene builder, and in here we've just got the dies. So we have the large fir tree, which is absolutely stunning, and that's that one there. Then you have a smaller one, which is lovely to give you some perspective if you are building a scene. And then we have the row of tiny ones, which are great for popping in the distance. You've got this wonderful cabin, which could be a log cabin, it could be brightly painted, it can be whatever you want. And what's really fabulous is it cuts the roof out separately. So you can have the cabin in wood, and you can have a snowy roof or a green roof or anything you like. It's a nice feature to have that separate roof. And then we've got our stags and does. And this really resounds with me because I've just come back from the Highlands of Scotland. And one of the most exciting things was seeing the red deer in the wild, and they were just majestic. It was unbelievable. And they actually came really close to where we were staying. There was a field at the side of the house. And if we were lucky, sort of when it came dusk in the evening, we would see them. They'd come down, and it was just magic, absolutely magic. So this reminds me so much of that. Really lovely. So that is your seam builder, and I know I keep saying this and getting it wrong. I think that one is £16.99 for the whole set of dies there. Jamie will correct me if I've got that wrong again, and apologies if I have. Alright, and then we have our two frames. Now these are beautiful. They're all elegance and wintry and snowy and just stunning. So this is our circular snowflake frame, and it has 3 dies. So we have the large circle, which, as you can see, will cut a circle if you use it just like that. So that's going to complement any of the other circle dies, the mats and layers that we have from Jamie. It may be, I haven't checked, but it might be a different size than the ones we've already got, so it will complement those. And then we have the actual snowflake design itself, which is a circle with snowflakes attached all around the edge. Now this doesn't cut out unless you use it with this. So this will leave this pattern in a piece of card. So it may be that you want a square panel with this cut out of it. It may be that you want a different circle with this cut out of it. Or you can cut it with its own edge like that. And then it will cut you a freestanding circle like that. Isn't that beautiful? And look at the detail. Those snowflakes are amazing. Now you've still got this massive space in the middle, which of course lends itself to having all sorts popped in there. Oh yay, I got the price right. Gold star for me. I need a star chart for when I'm good. Not when I'm naughty. That would be full in a week. Anyway, moving on. So you also get this fantastic snowflake. Obviously it's daft to waste the space in the middle of a die. You're paying for the metal, might as well make the use of it. So this comes in the middle, but it is a separate die. And this cuts out the most delicate filigree snowflake. Isn't it stunning? So that could be used separately. If you've been looking at our dies to dot collection, you could add this into that. It doesn't have the little indentations, but you could certainly sparkle this up. I've got a gold star. Yay! Thank you, Jamie. Or Pete, whoever's watching. Somebody pulled the short straw. So yeah, these, you could dot crystals around this quite easily. And of course on this as well. And who doesn't like a bit of sparkle at Christmas? Alright, so that is your circular snowflake frame. 3 dies, a lot of metal and a lot of design featuring in that. But there's more to it than that, because don't forget, when you cut a circle, you also are left with the aperture, so the bit around it. So you've got a window to put things in as well, and it may be that you want to set that back in that window and then put something else in the middle. It may be you want to build your scene inside that circle. That's entirely up to you. That's almost like a bonus, isn't it, when we have die sets like this? Alison, I suspect you're right. I've lost my train of thought now. So anyway, that's our circle die set, and the 3 dies there in that set would set you back £28.99. Now it is worth having a look on the Creative Expressions website, which is now the umbrella brand for all things Jamie Rogers and others, and things to come, which is very exciting. So if you have a look on there, you'll be able to find a stockist list, and you might be lucky, so they might have this in stock. I know it's been selling really, really well. it's moving quickly, so don't hang about if there's anything you think you might like. Find your local stockist and please do go and support them. And that does include me if you're in my area, so that would be lovely. Alright, the bonus out of this die set, if you decide to cut these two at the same time, like that, you actually get this piece between them, which initially you might think is just waste, but it could be used as a kind of frosty, icy kind of addition to a winter card. So I think that's worth playing around with and using as well. So that's kind of an added bonus also with this die set. So that is our wonderful circle snowflake frame set. And last but not least, from this collection, we have got the square snowflake frame set. This is absolutely gorgeous. Diane, Pete is not a good boy. Don't let him fool you. Yes, the base for a wreath, Sue, that's a fabulous idea. Yeah, they are both cheeky, we know, but we love them. So, this one's the same principle. You have the outer square, and that will cut you a square mat or a square aperture, depending what you're doing with it. Then we have the snowflake part, and again, this has no outside cutting edge. So it will cut these snowflakes and leave them in a piece of card, which means you can create a border as wide as you like for that. But if you cut the two together, then you will achieve, I'm looking for mine, I've lost it, sorry. Excuse me 1 second, I'll just rescue that. So if you cut them both together, you will get a square with snowflakes attached. And obviously this lovely space in the middle, which is just crying out for that scene building set, isn't it, to be popped in there. Or the snow people, or anything else you fancy putting in there. So where this set differs from the circle is that in the middle of it, rather than one big die, you get 6 absolutely beautiful snowflakes. And I have them here for you, just so you can have a look at how delicate they are when they're cut out. Aren't they lovely? So that's 6 beautiful little snowflakes and our gorgeous snowflake frame set. So this is also going to set you back $28.99, which I think it's not a setback at all. It's a good price for a very beautifully designed set of dies. And I think it's got a lot of potential. So that's all the dies in this collection. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing those. I was hoping to be able to show you the paper pad. Hello. Sadly, the glorious post office that is has let us down. So it's stuck somewhere in limbo. But hopefully you will have seen it if you've watched any of Jamie's lives or if you saw him on Hobby Maker. It's certainly on the website and you can have a look at it there, but it's absolutely beautiful and I'm really rubbished off that it's not arrived because I was so looking forward to showing it to you all and getting to use it. But that means that those lucky people who are near Craft Bliss in Poole will get to see it because I will have it for when I go there, and that is going to be happening on the 23rd, so a week on Saturday. Eek! And I'm really excited. I had a chat with Barry the other day and he's very excited, him and Julie. They are absolutely lovely and I can't wait. I know some of you are in that area, so I'm really hoping to meet some of you in person. That will be just amazing, won't it? So that's the 23rd. I don't think I've got a huge amount of news to tell you. I can't give you exciting stuff. Jamie's privy to all of that and it's his job to let you know what's going on as far as the company's concerned. But I know that he will be here on Monday for his usual slot for his Monday night natter, and I will be back next week at Thursday to do something slightly different. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and hope the gremlins don't strike again. Hi Kim. Oh yes, I am. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing, and I've got so much to show you. Oh, it's going to be brilliant. Right, so yeah, so me 21st. Excuse me. Oh, let me just take a drink of water. I'm sorry. Isn't it hot? It's been really hot today, hasn't it? Hi Joanna, you can just drop in. You don't have to book at all. No, it's on from 10 till 4, and there will be some special bonuses. What? Jamie, stop it! You're distracting me. There'll be some special bonuses. There's a goodie bag, which is only going to be available at Craft Bliss on that day between 10 and 4. The price of it will knock your socks off. So even if you only come in for half an hour and pick one of those up, it'd be worth it. There's no attachment, no criteria. You can just walk in, buy the goodie bag, leave. I hope you won't, but that's the deal. So, and then there's another die, which is a demo day die special. Try saying that without your teeth in. Demo day die special, and that's also going to be available to purchase at a crazy price. So lots of bonuses for you. And if we do have any stockists watching, I'm not sure any of them bother to watch me, and I can't blame them. Then it's well worth thinking about having a demo day, because Jamie will set you up for a splendid day. The downside is you get me, but you know, we do have fun, so have a think. We have got quite a few people now interested, which is just brilliant and very exciting, and it's just lovely to spread the word, isn't it? Oh, Elizabeth, how exciting! Ooh, travelling from Birmingham down to Craft Bliss, how exciting! Hope you have a lovely time. I'm just going back to read that comment. I could let you in on a little sneaky, maybe. Oh, that's exciting! He's testing something new that I might have with me for the demo day. So that's worth turning up for as well, isn't it? There's lots worth turning up for. Thank you, Diane. You're a darling. Right, what shall we look at? I'm going to get going on some techniques. That's what I promised you. That's what I'm going to do. Right, here we go. So, I want to start by showing you this. Now, as I've said, I'm not going to be doing cards from start to finish. What I want to focus on are the techniques I've used in the cards I'm showing you. Because there's a lot. And it's nice. I love doing these Thursday nights because it allows me to get down to the nitty gritty, and really show the detail of what I've done. You know, we don't get a chance when we're on the TV, because obviously there's a set time limit and we have to just have things prepared and quickly skim over some things. So for me, I love my techniques. I love experimenting. I love trying new things. And it's really lovely for me to be able to share that with everybody and show you exactly, you know, what I'm doing and how I go about it. So I'm going to start with this one. The things that I've used are Riley, obviously that beautiful snowflake circle frame, some stamps, some of Jamie's matte and layering dies have crept in there as well, but let's get down to the technique. Okay, so this is what I meant when I said if you cut the circle out, you'll be left with a frame, and that's exactly what we have here. And this is where I'm going to start creating. So I've got a square of craft brown, and I've cut the circle snowflake frame out of a square piece, so it doesn't have to be another circle. It looks nice in the middle of a square. I've cut the craft brown backdrop that fits behind that, and that's the same size. And then the circle aperture being slightly larger, because if you remember, if we cut them both together, we'd have got what you could see there in the white would have been a standalone piece. But by using the aperture, I can pop it over the top, and if I wanted to, I could lift that up, and that then gives you the potential to do shaker cards. You could put acetate behind this and create a shaker card, all sorts of different things you can do. But that's the basis of the front of the card. So I hope you've followed that. And then the rest of it is stamping and decoration. And I'm going back to the oldie but goodie of stamping and heat embossing. It gets overlooked a little bit, but whenever you do see it, it's a real wow. And I think sometimes we forget about it because we get so familiar with all the things we do, and we forget that there are new people joining us all the time who may never have seen it. So I'm going to be showing you how to stamp and heat emboss right from the start. Just let me find some scrap paper, sorry. It's all got writing on it, but it'll be okay. Just ignore the writing. Alright, so there's my circle. And the way I went about this was I created the front of the card, and then I know that that's the space I have to stamp my design in. So I don't want to just go merrily stamping on this and then find it's all off centre. So I just set my stall out before I started, and then I know that that's where I need Riley to stand. Okay. But before I get onto that, I want it to decorate the frame as well. So I need Riley's stamp set, which is here. I have a stamping block, and I have an anti-static pad. I'll explain about this. I have a Versamark ink pad, which is supposed to be clear. Pretend it is. They do get discoloured. They come to you looking like that, but they do get discoloured, but they still work, so don't panic if yours gets discoloured like that. It'll be fine. It's a sticky, clear ink that we use specifically for heat embossing because it helps to attach the powder. Okay, and then I've also got a Brilliance white ink pad. This is, in my opinion, one of the best white ink pads on the market, and I needed a white for this process. So those are the items I'm going to be using, and I'm going to start by decorating the circular frame. So we have this gorgeous little snowflake flurry, and I'm just going to pop that onto my block. Now, when you are stamping and heat embossing, this is the embossing powder, and it's super fine, and it's also very staticky, so it can stick to the card in areas that you'd really rather it didn't. So to prevent that, we use an anti-static bag, and that stops it from sticking anywhere except where you put the ink. So just dust this lightly onto the surface of the area that you want to stamp onto, and that will prevent the powder from going where you don't want it to. Now with this technique, I could ink up with the white directly, but I find it doesn't give as good a result. So I'm going to do it with the Versamark. It's a bit more sticky, and the powder is white, so the powder will give us the colour that we need. So I'm doing lots of gentle tapping all over this stamp so that it picks up the ink, and then I'm going to stamp this just around the circle and across the corner. And then what you need to do is press very carefully without rocking. Now because I've got a very small stamp on a big block, and you see there's a lot of space around it, so it can rock, and that's not great because you get, sometimes you catch the edge of the stamp and catch a line, which is not great, and sometimes it just ends up looking a little bit blobby. So try to keep it flat and still, and then there's not much to see. Always put your lid back on your ink pads as well before you start throwing embossing powder around, otherwise it could end up on your ink pad. Shake on the powder and then tap off the excess, and now you can see that powder has attached to where the ink was. Now there is a little bit here that I don't want. Hopefully, if I just give it a little flick, that will come away. There we are. So it's a nice clean impression, and I can now heat that with my heat gun. So that's what I'm going to do. So these heat guns are super hot. This one is from Ranger and it does look like a hairdryer, but it's not. Please don't dry your hair with it, you'll end up bald. And don't try and heat emboss with a hairdryer, because A, it's not hot enough, and B, it blows too much and it will just blow everything away. So I'm going to turn this on. It might be a bit noisy, it's not so bad this one, but hopefully it doesn't distort the sound too much. Okay, and then I'm just going to heat this until it's changed from that dull white powder to a lovely shiny white, and it does take a few minutes. One thing I always say to people when I'm teaching them to stamp is don't waft your heat gun about. It doesn't achieve anything except to prevent the powder melting, because you're moving the heat on and off, on and off. So it's not ideal if you start to do that, and it's a habit you need to not get into. Alright, so can you see now how that's come up a lot more white? I hope you can. I know it's difficult on the camera. But now we've got some lovely tiny little snowflakes. Actually, they could be little flowers. You could use those for flowers. So that's one corner. Now on this corner I want to add a sentiment. So I'm going to take this stamp off and I'm going to find the sentiment I want to use, which was actually from a different set. This was from Rebecca's set, and it's the Sending Winter Wishes stamp. So it's quite a long stamp. So we'll take that one off. And I want to stamp this around the corner, because as you can see, like that, it doesn't fit. It's coming off the edges. Now, what's great with these is that you can actually bend them. So they're soft enough to bend without it spoiling the stamp. It won't stay bent. Sorry, I'm just looking for, I've got a different block which would be better for this. Here we are, a smaller, flatter one. So you can actually bend these within reason and curve them to fit. So that's what I want to do. So I'm going to put it on my block and I'm just going to estimate the curve, and then I'll hold it up and try it against my circle, and then I can adjust as necessary. So that's not too bad actually. Just maybe bring that side down a smidge. There we go. And then it's the same process. So anti-static bag, get that powder on, ink on the stamp using Versamark, which is the clear if you remember. Lots and lots of gentle tapping. And again, it's also important not to rock your ink pad as much as it is important not to rock your stamp. So lots of that. I've lost you. There we are. And then take that to your surface, put it down and firmly press. Not too firm, because photopolymer stamps do have quite a little bit of squish value, and if you press too hard it can make the lines quite thick, and that's not ideal. So gentle pressure all over, and then again we can bring in our embossing powder, shake that up, tap it off. There we are, lovely. Okay, put that to one side, and now I can heat this side. I know it's difficult because you can't really see very well. Try and lift it up. There we go. So just keep the gun still, and then once it starts to melt, you can move along gradually across the whole design. Do mind your fingers, because as I say, these guns are so hot. It's not fun if you get your fingers in the way. There we go. So we've got our two corner designs, and now I'm ready to start on the inside of our panel here. So I'm going to need Riley. Sorry, I have to keep thinking of the names. I do get mixed up. So here we have our gorgeous little Riley, and he's going to be going around about there in the middle of the circle. Right, so once I've got that right, I can take that off and I can bring in my stamping platform. You don't have to use a stamping platform, but it certainly helps. And the next little trick I'm going to show you does need the platform to be able to do it. Just tidy up my embossing powder. Right, I'll just find my stamping platform. Okay, so I've got him where I want him. So I just pick this up and put the whole thing in the platform, and then find my magnets. They'll stick to themselves. Make sure it's in the corner because I want to be able to re-stamp this, and this is the joy, isn't it, of a stamping platform. Oh. And that's why you shouldn't let your magnets snap together. Look, it's broken. They're very brittle, so it is important not to let that happen. Luckily I've got spares. Alright, so I'm going to pick him up on the lid of the platform. Don't forget your anti-static bag. All across where you're going to stamp him. Now, I want to start by stamping in the clear Versamark. So lots of tapping, and I also move the ink pad around in different angles so that I make sure I catch every little piece of that stamp. And then let's get that stamped, press firmly all over, check that we've got the full image, which we have. And now I'm going to bring in the white ink pad and I'm going to ink again with the white. This is going to give it a bit more of a white base. I mean, you can see that the white powder keeps its whiteness, but this just gives it a bit more of a white base. And then the Versamark underneath just adds a little bit more tack. So you get the best of both worlds. It doesn't show up brilliantly, but it is there. I can see it. You probably can just see a very tiny shadow. That's because of the craft brown being as it is. Alright, so I'll just move that. So now if I bring in the powder, we should get a really good white outline. There we go. Quick flip to get rid of any loose bits, and we've got a perfect, crisp, clean and white image. So that's a tip. If you're finding you're not getting a really good white, depending on your embossing powder, some of them can be a bit translucent almost. You really need a good opaque one, but if you stamp it in white, you'll get a good white finish. And it's a bit like we do the same with black. You stamp in black and add black powder, so that if any bits do happen to miss, it's still black and you don't lose it. So it's a similar thing with the white, but this is going to give us a really lovely white finish. Now I know this, some of you probably been doing this for years, but it's never a bad thing, is it, to go over and refresh. And we may have people watching who've never done it, never seen it, so it's nice to show them as well. I always feel certain things get put on the back burner, if you like. We move on to the next thing, and you know, the old favourites do get forgotten, don't they? Sometimes. Alright, so now we've got our gorgeous little Riley stamped. And we know that he's going to fit inside our frame because we planned that out before we started. So there he is. So now I've got to colour in and build the scene. I love using white and craft together, and I'm actually going to use my ink pad to colour with, and I'm going back to my trusty cotton buds again here, and what I'm going to do is actually colour in with the ink. So I'm just rolling and tapping to get some ink into this cotton bud, and then I'm literally going to colour like this. I won't do it all because it does take a little while, but you get the idea. And you can then pick and choose how much of him you want white. You can give him a little round belly. You can make him look nice and round and, you know, chubby. It's been eating too much Christmas pudding. It's surprising how accurate these are. You can get into little areas with them quite well. So you get the idea. It's quite effective, isn't it? And then also obviously you need to do his head, and that's quite round. If you use little semicircular strokes, you'll give the illusion that he's got a round head. And again, maybe leave a little bit not coloured, so that again you get that illusion of roundness. So that needs a bit more work, but you start to get the idea. Can you see that? And I'm going to do the same thing for the ground that he's standing on. So you can just extend these little snow mounds that he's standing on with the white ink and the cotton bud. And then he's actually grounded, isn't he? He's not floating around. He's standing on the snow. You can also go back and add a little bit of sparkle to this if you want to. I didn't want this one to be particularly sparkly, so I didn't do that. But it's up to you, isn't it? It's your creation once you get going. And I would give this another coat. So I'd let that dry. Dries pretty quickly. And then I would give it another coat. And I've also gone up and done his hat. Oops. And of course his pom-pom. Alright, so that's how I've used white ink, white embossing powder to create a white on craft image. The rest of it I've done with brush pens. I really like using watercolours, as you probably know by now. And these Koi colouring brush pens are some of my favourites to go to. They're a great watercolour pen. And I just want to give him a little bit of colour. I've literally gone straight in and just coloured his scarf, his carrot nose, his twiggy arms, his coal buttons, and yeah, I think that's about it. So a little bit of colour on there, and then he needs a carrot nose, doesn't he? I do like the way some colours on craft change. That blue has gone really turquoisey on the craft, which is nice. And also, if you go over your embossing with it, you just wipe it off because it's just water based, so it'll just clean off. Now the only other thing I've done is added glitter to the fluff on his hat and his little pom-pom. And I've used, of course, the Beautiful Gemstones glitter to do that. So I'm going to give this a white base as well, just to enhance the whiteness. I mean, you could do this in any colour. You can change the colour scheme altogether, can't you, to suit yourself. But I just really like white on craft, so that's where I started from. Now the ink won't act as a glue, the ink won't hold glitter in place. so you do have to add your glue as well. I think that's about how it's disintegrating. So I have dispensed some of Jamie's dry clear glue into a fine nozzle bottle, and I'm just going to use that almost like it was a pen to colour in the bubble. And then take the gemstones glitter, pile it on. And then do the same on the fluff of his hat as well. So that's how I've done the craft and white effect. Just move my stuff out a little bit. Okay. So now when I bring back the frame, it fits a little better. And then I can bring in the stamped frame and pop that over the top. And that's really the basis of the card. The rest of it is construction, matting and layering. Obviously finishing off the colouring. But isn't that cute? I hope you like that. So just to finish off, I've added a few random gems on that corner. I've put gems in the centre of the snowflakes, and those were our fabulous gems from the Dice to Dot collection. Obviously I've spent a little bit more time colouring. I've added sparkle to the snow line as well, and then I've used the postage stamp square just to give it a lovely matte with a nice edge. So there we go, first one. I hope you've picked up something, a little hint of something. I always feel there's always something to learn, even when you've been crafting for a long time. I'm not saying you think you know it all, because none of us ever do, but you do get to a point where you think you don't learn new things very often, but I always think there's something to learn. Thank you all so much, your lovely comments. I'm just coming back to say hello. Have I missed anybody? Hi Siobhan, lovely to have you with us. Your samples were stunning. Saw your first few the other day. Yes, heat embossing is really great, isn't it? It's that magic thing. I think it's probably what got most of us started. I think it was one of the first things I ever saw, and I was just entranced. I was like, wow. And I still think that now. It's still a wow moment, isn't it? It's really quite incredible. Just watching it change. Yeah, it's good to be reminded, isn't it, Sharon? Because we do forget these. I think of heat embossing as a bit of an older technique. I don't know why, but it's been around a long time, isn't it? Well, Alison, I hope that's helped. I hope that's given you a tip. Try stamping with the Versamark first as an undercoat, and then a white ink. It can be a pigment ink. It doesn't have to be the one I've used. Ranger do a good white pigment ink, or they did. I don't know if they still do. But I'm sure you can find one. Nikki, I feel your pain, love. So there we are. So that's my first little tip. Oh yes, fluffy stuff was great. Sadly, no longer with us in this neck of the woods. Cosmic Shimmer is a separate entity, and it's gone to a different company. But you know what? Jamie's going to bring us some fantastic mediums, so we won't be missing them for too long, hopefully. All right, shall we move on? Let's do that. Okay. So the next one I want to show you is one of my favourite things is just inking. Creating landscapes just using ink. Scraps of paper to use as masks, and then I've used that beautiful scene building set to create this card. So there's quite a lot going on again in this card, and if I was doing it for TV I'd have to have one ready and one just to show you a bit, and then the next minute you see it and it's finished. So it's like, what did she do? I missed it. So it's really nice to be able to show you in depth what's going on. So let's start with this frame. So I have the beautiful square snowflake frame here, and I've got some cheeky little bits that have stayed stuck. Let's get rid of those. I don't like that. I can't be doing with it. What I did to enhance this was to use the Gemstones glitter paste. I know that's not great, you can't see it, can you? Let me do it straight onto my mat. So I have a pot here which is almost empty, but it's great for dabbling, getting my brush in. I've used it for painting with, I've watered it down and done backgrounds with it. I've used it to stipple, which is what I'm going to do now. And then when I've finished, I just spritzed some water into the tub before I put the lid back on, and it's absolutely fine. So even though it's getting low, it hasn't gone off, you know, it's absolutely fine. So I just pick up some of that on, this is a stencil brush. I'm literally just going to stipple the paste all over the snowflakes, the frame, and everything. Just pick up a little bit more. And this is going to give a really beautiful frosty finish to this frame. And it's quite a quick way of doing it. And it's just lovely because the being a paste rather than adding the glitter gives it a bit more texture. So it's got a bit more of a thickness to it. Okay, so that's how I've done the frame. I think you get the idea. Put your brush straight in water because this is a gluey product. So straight in water. And then, as I say, a quick mist, just one, as long as you do it every time. Lid on, and it'll be absolutely fine. I know Jamie leaves his silver lid on. I just took it off without thinking. So next time I open a new pot, I'll do that. Now I don't know if, I think it'll be pretty near impossible to see that on the camera, but it has got the most beautiful sparkle. Absolutely gorgeous. So I'll just pop that to one side. While we move on, let me clean up my mat, and again just a light mist, and then wipe that up and it'll all come off, no bother. And it was good to see the other day that we've got the Creative Expressions craft mats back, so you can do this sort of thing on those as well, all really easy to clean up and good as new. Alright, so next I'm going to start working on the background. So if you have a look in here, you can see we've got snow lines, we've got a moon, we've got some more snow lines here. Some of them have sort of got covered up with the elements I've added in there, but they are there. And it helps to start with a landscape, because then you can position things. So, let me clear my decks a bit. For this I'm going to use Jamie's Blue Emperor ink. This is a lovely ink for blending with. I'm using a blending brush, and I've got a piece of copy paper, and I've literally just cut it with a pair of scissors to create a wavy line. Just a wavy line. If you think of it as a hill, you'll get all complicated and think, I don't know, I can't cut a hill. What does a hill look like? Don't think about it. It's a wavy line. Okay? So cut a wavy line, and then we can start to build our landscape. Now the first hill I want to pop in is the one at the back, the highest one. So I'm going to pop it about there, and I'm going to start and blend an edge to it. So you've seen me do this before, and I always say to people, it's really important that you're very, very gentle and very, very soft with your inking, because it looks as though nothing's happening there. Can't see any colour at all. But if you take that mask away, I've lost my picture again. Oh, do you know? So if you take the mask away, can you see already there's a line? And it's quite a strong line. So don't be tempted to ink until your eye can see it. Just very gently, trust that the colour's going down, because it is, and then if you need to convince yourself, you can just check and just go along that snow line, or what will become the snow line, very gently. If you're not confident to hold it in place, you can tape it obviously to the paper, and you'll notice I'm also tapping off the excess wet ink, just so it doesn't get too heavy. And then while I'm doing this, I'm going to go up the edge, round the corner, so that that's going to frame the piece once it's finished. Just go along the top with a little bit of the blue. It's a beautiful colour, this blue, but again quite soft. And then if you take that away and look at that, you wouldn't think there was that much ink going down, but it's there. So that's our first hill line. Now for the second one, I've turned it over so it's going the opposite way. Can you see that's where it fit together? So I've turned it over, it's going to go the opposite way, and I can change the angle of this. So that's what I mean. Don't stress about it being a hill. It's just a wavy line that we're turning into a hill. Okay, so that can go, I'm going to bring it down a bit actually. Something like that. Looks a bit strange, doesn't it, that? That'll do. Right, so I'm going to go up the edge so that that continues, and then I'm going to go along the edge of the paper. See, there's still plenty of ink on my brush. And then we've got our next hill. See that? And then I want a little hollow down here, because I want to stand the Christmas tree in it, and if you've got a tree standing in a forest, it's always in a little hollow. So I'm just going to create one by adding a little bit of ink, and that's just going to help ground the tree when I put it there. Alright, next thing I want to do is a moon. Now I've cut this from some special masking paper. It's called Mask It, and it's a slightly low tack paper that comes on a clear backing. So I've die cut this with one of Jamie's circle dies, and then you separate the two, and then this can stick where we want it. I'm going to make a moon, so stick that down. If it's got wrinkles in it, just get rid of those, and then again I can start to just flick some ink around the edge of this. If I want a bit more, take off the excess, otherwise I'll end up with a big blob where I don't want it. And again, don't go till your eye can see it, because there'll be too much. So it's just a gentle process. Alrighty. And then we've got to lift this off. Carefully. There we are. And then you pop that back onto the clear bit it came from and store it to use again. So these masks you can use over and over again, as long as you don't lose them. Famous last words. Okay, so we've now got a moon in the sky. A bit hazy, but that's alright. It would be, wouldn't it? And we've got hills. And the next thing I want to do is use a stencil to create the snow flurry. So do all your inking first, and then I'm going to put some stencil paste over this. I've got this beautiful snow flurry stencil, and I'm just going to pop it over the top of the whole thing. I'm going to get my gemstones paste out again, and a spatula. pick some of that up and just pop it through over the whole design. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. Snow doesn't fall evenly, does it? But over the whole thing, so it's coming all the way down. Okay, any excess on your brush, pop it back in the pot. Spritz and lid on if you need to, and then just clean up. Lift this off and pop that straight into water before it sets. Okay, so now, can you see the snow on there? I would have brought it all the way down, but I didn't want to keep you waiting too long. So that will take about 10 minutes to dry. It doesn't take very long at all. So while that's drying, I'm just going to clean up the edge, any little bits that have gone over with my finger. Technical piece of equipment. And the next thing I want to do is use some of Jamie's new, very exciting mica mists. These are gorgeous. Now, some of you may know I worked with Creative Expressions for a long time and worked a lot with their Cosmic Shimmer products. These are better, I have to say. I don't tell fibs, I don't lie. If I don't like something, I'm not going to say so. These are brilliant. They've got so much mica in them. The colours are so beautiful, and so far they haven't clogged. And mica sprays are notorious for doing that. So this is really lovely to have these. The sprays spray really well. They don't leak. That's another bugbear of mine. So I'm really impressed with these, really impressed. The colour in them as well is stunning. Sometimes I think when people try to keep the cost down, and you know, that's something that has to be taken into account, but I think at the detriment of quality, I'd rather pay a little bit more. However, these are retailing for $4.99, which is a very good price for a mica spray, and even better for one of this quality. So there you have it. So the colours are Ocean Pearl, which is a beautiful blue, Gold Pearl, Copper Pearl, Sage Pearl, which is the most gorgeous green, Mint Pearl, which again is a beautiful, bit more of an aqua edge to it, that one. And of course, White Pearl. You couldn't live without White Pearl, could you? So I'm going to spray some of the elements from the die set. Oops, getting all excited. Look, I've got my spray box out. So the trees I'm going to do with that fantastic sage green. I'm just going to spray them all at the same time and give them a really good mist. Now you do need to shake these. They have a little ball bearing in there, and it's really important that you mix the mica up. And again, I've had mica sprays where you sit there shaking it for ages and ages and ages, and it's, you know, tedious. These, it mixes really, really well. I do keep them stored on the side just to make that mixing a little bit quicker. And there is a ball bearing in there which you can start to hear to clack. Once that's doing that, you're good to go. So look at that, how gorgeous is that? And what I've discovered is really interesting. Can you see how the edges of those trees have stayed white? And I think it's because of the bevel. You know, when you die cut something, it creates that curve on the edge, that bevel. And for some reason, it's kept the mica mist from sitting on it, which is fabulous because they already look snowy, don't they? So those are the trees. I need to pop those somewhere just to keep them out of the way while I do the rest of this. So I'm just going to lift them out of here carefully. Aren't they lovely? Look at that shimmer. Honestly, I wish you could see it where I am. It's stunning. So pop them somewhere flat and just let them dry naturally. They'll be stunning. And then for the little deer, I'm going to do those with the copper mist. I've lost one. I had two of those. Never mind. Doesn't matter. So the copper pearl. This is a gorgeous colour. And let's just give these a real good look at that. 1, 2, 3 little squirts, if that. And again, what was interesting with this, and it was just serendipity, for some reason they got little white spots on the bums, and that's what fallow deer look like, don't they? They have little spots on their rumps. So I thought, oh, that's not. I thought, oh, I've missed a bit. I went back and it just did it again. So I don't know why, but I'm not complaining. It's a nice little extra. Right. So that's our little snow scene. The only other thing I've done is added glue and then gemstones glitter to all the edges of the trees, and then I've put that all together and raised the frame on foam tape so it's lifted, and put acetate at the back of it, so it's got an acetate window, so everything's in there. You could make that into a shaker card, add some more sort of snowy confetti type stuff in there if you wish, but I just decided to leave it like that. And the acetate helps to support the frame, of course, and keep it flat. So I think that's covered what I've done with that one. I've used again one of Jamie's nesting sets, the beautiful square, what's it called, that one? The ornate edge and the pierced detail edge on there, and I've given it a couple of marks of that. So that's that one. Okay, do we have any questions at all? Are you all au fait with everything? Let's come back and say a few hellos. I've changed my glasses. Hi. Yes, that texture paste, it's really super. All the products, I have to say, so far that Jamie's brought out have been brilliant, absolutely brilliant, no complaints whatsoever. Yeah, some of the ladies that are here that are on the GT are agreeing, and yeah, the inks are great, the sprays are great, the pastes are great. So I think some of you are enjoying stuff and wanting to have a go, so that's lovely. That's really nice. That's what we want. We want you to think, yes, I want to go and have a go at that. Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, the pearl misters, Diane's agreeing, they don't clog, they don't. And it is unusual that, because sometimes they're a pain. Gorgeous. Yeah. Thank you very much, Kim. Thank you all. Your comments are really appreciated. Fluted edge, thank you. Yes, I do forget sometimes. Alright, how are we all? Are we doing okay? So, I have one more that I'd like to show you in detail, and then I'll let you go. So let me put this back on its sheet. I've got to tidy up, I'm getting in a pickle. Got stamps everywhere. Okie dokie. So I want to show you a technique that I struggled for ages to get it right. I've now found a way that it works. There are various ways of doing it. I first learnt it from Tim Holtz, and it's called reverse stamping. That was a long time ago, before he was famous and he used a flat piece of rubber. There's a type of rubber that they make rubber stamps from, just a plain piece that hadn't been moulded. You can do it with acetate, you can do it with acrylic blocks, you can do it with the packaging that comes off your stamps, all those sorts of things, but you really do need to experiment because it depends on your ink as well, and I've been using Jamie's ink and it works really well for this technique. So what I'm going to show you is reverse stamping, but then because these are stamps and dies, you might think, well, that's great, but you can't cut it out because you've reversed it and you've only got the die facing one way. But you can. I'm going to show you how. So I'm going to start by showing you the reverse stamping part of this technique. Now you do need a stamping platform for this, and I am going to show you how I've gone about it and what I've used to achieve it. So let me just find all my bits and pieces. I have here a piece of acrylic which came originally from a stamp positioner. We used to have to use those before we had stamping platforms, and it came with a clear plate like this and an L-shaped block, and it allowed you to correct mistakes if you'd missed a bit of your stamping, or you wanted to straighten something up, or you wanted it in a specific position. You would use the L block on the corner, and then you would slide your stamping block with the stamp on it into that and stamp onto this plate. Then obviously you could see through that, and then you would position that over where you wanted it to go, put the L back in place, take this away, and then put your block back in there and stamp. And in theory it would be in exactly the right place. Invariably it never was, but there we go. That's a whole nother story. So I've found this works really well for this technique. So my stamping platform has an extra foam pad in it, which allows you to adapt it for mounted rubber stamps. You take it out for those, and you put it in when you're working with unmounted clear stamps, photopolymer stamps. So because I'm going to be replacing the foam pad with this, I need to take it out and put that in instead. So that's the first thing to have a look at. If you're going to have a go at this in your stamping platform, have a look at what you've got in it, and can you remove the foam pad to reduce the thickness, and then pop this in. If you're going to use a piece of acetate which has no thickness, then leave your foam pad in and just pop your acetate on top of that. Alright, but I'm going to use my acrylic plate because I found it works really well. I just need to give my little stamp a wipe, because I'm going to use a different ink now. Okay. So let's pop this where we want it. I'm going to pop it right in the middle, and then make sure that's in the corner. Pick the stamp up, and I'm going to use Black Panther. Ink the stamp up just as normal. It would help if I had a piece of card ready. I've got a piece of card ready. So I'm going to stamp this over onto my acrylic plate. Oh, I'm trying to get it so you can see it. The lights are all reflecting. Now don't press too hard, because again the ink will spread, and we're not stamping on card, so it's nowhere to go but out. So try not to press too hard. Check that your image is complete, which that is, and then what I do is get my card up against the top edge and lined up down the side edge, and then if I need to restamp I can do, because I've got it in the corner. So just rub all over that. Not too hard, because again you don't want the ink to spread. And there we have a reversed image of Riley. Now it's got bits missing, it's not perfect, so I am going to stamp it again. So I'm going to re-ink my stamp. Make sure that's in the corner so it'll go in exactly the right place. Press that ink onto the platform, but not too hard. So I've got some more nice wet ink. Get my card in the corner, up at the top edge, line down the left hand edge, and then press, but gently. That's better. And there he is, reversed Riley. Cool, eh? You can do this with any stamp. You just need to find something, a surface that works, and an ink that works. So I tried this with Fine Clay because I thought, oh, it's a really good stamping ink, that, and it dries relatively slowly as to give me working time. It didn't work at all. It kept because it's oily, so it's slick, and it kept moving. It just wasn't good. But this Black Panther from Jamie Rogers worked perfect. So thank you, Jamie, for that. Okay, let's remove that and put this to one side. That just wipes off, or you can rinse it under the tap. Just clean it off. It comes off really easily. Ready for next time. Okay, put that out of the way. So now we've got him, and we've got our normal one facing. How do we die cut this then? That's why mine had that strange thing going on. I've had to do it before you all got here because you have to hold it against a light. Now if you've got a light box, you can put it over a light box, it makes it really easy. But who has a light box these days? I don't. But I've got a natural light box, it's called a window. So there's my reverse Riley. So I turn it over and hold it up against the window, and then I can see the image, and then I can position the die, and then I can die cut it in reverse. So that's what I'm going to do. Just so you know, I'm on my die cutting machine. Right, let's hope this has worked. Well, it will have worked. That's it. Just get the tape off. The only thing about this is that the bevel, that you get that lovely bevel when you die cut something, is on the back. But look, reverse Riley, die cut. So if that bothers you, because now the edge is curled up slightly, what I tend to do, a couple of things you can do, is get a little sanding block and just take off the sharpness of the edge, because it can have a little sharp edge to it. Just go around. It doesn't need much, it's fine now. Or the other thing I sometimes do is get my bone folder and just sort of burnish it like that all the way around, just so it's not got that sharp feeling to it. But there we are, reverse Riley, and reverse anything that you want to reverse, and hold it up against the window. Or Sue, use the light from your tablet. Don't see why not. It just needs to be a light source. So yeah, give it a go. Let me know if it works. I'd love to know. Alright, so I've then coloured in Riley left and Riley right, and I have some bits and pieces here just to finish off. So here we have those two. Now, I'm sorry Jamie, but I've decided this family is having twins. So we've got Robert and Riley, and they're twins. So we've increased the family by one. I love that. Alright, there's another little reverse one. I'm going to have loads of them at this rate. Okay. So I've used, again, the beautiful Matte and Layer collection. Oh, look, you can see me. Hello. Mirror card. I've used the decal edge and the stitch, and then the plain squares to put the silver. Oh, let me cover that up before it blinds everybody. This piece I have embossed with that Snow Flurry stencil. I don't know. Oh, you can see it, can't you? There you go. It's great, isn't it? So that's with the rubber mat. So what you do is you put the stencil down first, then your card face down. Well, it's not face down at that point, and then a rubber mat, and then usually one clear plate. It depends on your machine. Some of them have lots of small plates, thin plates, don't they? So he could be called Rupert. He can be called whatever you want to call him. He's a new addition, or he's a long lost cousin. Maybe he's a cousin. We don't know, do we? And then what I've done is I've cut that beautiful snowflake square frame from the silver mirror, and then I've snipped it to create two borders rather than a whole frame. And I've attached that to another decal and stitched. Oh, sorry. Another decal and stitched combo. So you can just see that. So it's just two borders that I've snipped, and then I can put my Snow Flurry panel, the decal and edged, with the two snowflakes and our two little snow boys, or snow people, holding hands. And there we have the beauty of reverse stamping, and now reverse die cutting as well. Cool, eh? Took me ages though, I have to admit. I have to confess. Took me ages to get it right. But now I've got it right, I'll be able to do it all the time, won't I? And that's why practicing is so important. And just working out how things can be made a little easier, perhaps, if you've got the right tips and the right bits and bobs. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed that. I have. I love doing techniques and I love sharing them. So I hope you got something out of it, at least. Alrighty. So that's it for now from me. Oh yes, some of you have had a go. We're all getting names now, aren't we? That's so good. I hope to see you very soon. I'm going to be back next Thursday, but don't forget Jamie will be with you on Monday. Let me see, do I know what he's going to be doing? Knowing him, something he shouldn't. Sneaky peeks and all, you know, letting slip little bits of information to keep you tempted. But we love that, don't we? So, thank you all so much, and thanks for putting up with me at the beginning when I was having trauma. But these things happen, don't they? Have a lovely rest of the evening. There's not much of it left, is there? And lots of love. See you next time. Thanks for watching.